forcing it, and therein lies the problem of their own. So they say things like, they're on. But they're wrong, Charlize, they're wrong, and hence this song. Welcome to the Theronathon. We're gonna do the Theronathon. Take a bite and chew the Theronathon. Juicy like fondue, the Theronathon. Get a film review at the Theronathon. Woohoo, the Theronathon. I'm sniffing glue on the Theronathon. Here comes the debut of the Theronathon.
You are listening to Theronathon. We are going to take you on an epic journey through every movie featuring Charlize Theron. And by we, I mean myself, Regina Connolly, my host, Robin Elaine Hitchcock. Hello. And Bob Shields.
Hello.
So this is our first episode, so I figured we would start off with a couple of housekeeping notes. The first thing is the pronunciation of our subject's name. So this podcast is called Theronathon, but her name is not Charlize Theron.
But it does work really well with the word marathon, so we're making it work.
Her actual pronunciation of her name, Bob, is the closest at approximating it because he speaks the Queen's English.
So it technically is pronounced Charlize Theron
That was really good.
with a rolling R and everything else squashed into one syllable.
Yes.
But she goes by Charlize Theron or Theron.
Charlize Theron.
Theron.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Theronathon is more confusing than we were willing to budge. So if she's changed pronunciation once, we hoped, we would not presume to know how she feels, but we hoped that she would be okay with it.
Or we can just say that we're only taking up through R.
Sure. We've got a lot of
Yeah.
reasons, and that is why the show is called what it is called. But why are we doing it?
Because Charlize Theron is awesome.
She is the best.
She is.
We've been talking about doing this podcast for a year, and we're finally recording our first episode. Regina is the one who approached me about doing it.
So part of the reason I'm doing this is, full disclosure, I am a very big fan of the podcast. Denzel Washington is the greatest actor of all time, period. And if you have not listened to that, do it. Treat yourself. It is amazing and delightful. And it just was interesting to me, the idea of just focusing on one actor's entire career. I feel like I've seen a lot of movies, or I've seen actors in many movies, but that I don't have a complete knowledge of just one person's arc. And the idea of sort of watching it without other movies, like in distraction, like just like a focused thing, but just like a real, like an immersive experience of just focusing on one person's style and seeing like what that reveals about their acting. Because personally, I find it often difficult to critique film acting in a way that I do not stage acting. And so I am curious what this will be like for me. And the reason Charlize Theron, besides the fact that she's amazing, is I've always liked her in movies, and I think that the time I was like, oh, like this is someone who definitely deserves a lot more attention was when I saw Young Adult, which I think is a very underrated movie, and that she was very, very good in it.
I think also she is just the current absolute pinnacle of movie stardom. I can't think of another actress or actor who is more famous and more like has more star power than Charlize Theron or Theron does. So yeah, I think it should be a very interesting look into all of the movies that she's done and how she's progressed over her career.
I lived in South Africa for a period of time, for about 3 years. And when I first moved there, the first apartment that I looked at had a gigantic pop art mural of her face in the lobby.
And did you bring it home with you?
No, and I didn't move into that apartment because it was too small, but I definitely sort of like struck me then, like she is their peak movie star.
Yeah.
And then that was 2012, and so it was like, obviously Nelson Mandela is like their greatest hero, but they're like stardom heroes. It was like Charlize Theron and Oscar Pistorius, and then Oscar Pistorius murdered his girlfriend. So
that'll knock you down a few notches.
That's right. They're just left with
Even
good old
in South
Charlize.
Africa.
Yeah. So
I also think like the idea of like star power is interesting because like I am not particularly good with pop culture or knowing things that go on. And I think a thing that is interesting about her is that she feels to me like in some ways like a more classic movie star, famous person. Not that she never does like goofy or weird roles, but there's just something about her bearing that to me feels different than the way people talk about her is different than the way they talk about Meryl Streep or Susan Sarandon or other sort of like major female actresses.
she is both considered a great actress and a great movie star, which is pretty rare.
Yes. That's going to happen a lot. We are all friends, and some of us are spouses, and so sometimes we will speak together. Just, heads up. So that's why we're doing it. And the first movie that we are talking about on the intro, and we're going to keep it short because it is her uncredited appearance as an extra in Children of the Corn 3 Urban Harvest.
The great straight-to-video sequel of Children of the Corn and Children of the Corn 2, which presumably had a subtitle that I have not looked up.
I'm sure it did.
So this movie, Charlize Theron is...
We're going to have to get on the same page about that.
Yeah,
It's Theron. It's Theron.
After 500 episodes, I'm sure I'll pronounce it right eventually. She is on screen collectively for less than 10 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
She is an uncredited extra in the background of a cult that is run by the movie's main antagonist, who is the child of the corn, the only child of the corn in the whole movie, in fact. This movie has a misnomer for a title. So yeah, this movie is an absolutely atrocious horror movie of the lowest quality. I guess she had to start somewhere. Do we want to do a proper summary of it? Do we even care?
I do want to fill in, because I looked it up, that it's Children of the Corn 2, The Final Sacrifice.
Well, not
that's
that
a
final.
lie.
Should have been Penultimate Sacrifice.
Oh, well, no, because it turns out that there are 9 movies in the original series and 3 in the reboot series, so they were really far away from the Final Sacrifice.
Yeah, they were actually very optimistic about that being the final sacrifice.
So I feel like the best thing that I can say about this movie is, given its title, I was going into watching it expecting it to be super uncomfortably racist.
Me too.
I was like, oh, the Urban Harvest, are they going to the inner city now?
And they did.
They did, but they, I think, managed to not be as bad as I thought they were going to be.
They had characters of color who were not caricatures, which is much more than I expected from this movie.
Also, more importantly, they were not the first one to die, although they did die.
Oh, they died a lot.
Yeah, definitely, and one of them died with the longest spine removal you may ever see.
Yes.
If you suffer through this movie, which we are not recommending.
I highly recommend you skip this one.
Also, so when you see Charlize Theron's beautiful face, unfortunately...
Wait, note that when you first see her beautiful face, you will be blinded by how thin her eyebrows are.
Well, this was
It was 1996, I want to say?
95.
95, and she had the full-on overplucked Drew Barrymore situation going. She grew them back in over the years, so good for you. Good for you.
Well grown out of your face.
Bob, why don't you give us the broadest of strokes of the plot of this movie?
All right, so it begins in a cornfield in Nebraska, which is where I think the original Children of the Corn movies take place. And basically, there's 2 brothers, older and younger. One of them kills the other one's father with magic by turning him into a scarecrow. Then they are adopted into Chicago.
Urban Chicago.
That's the urban place they're going to harvest. An unwitting couple adopts them.
But he brings a briefcase of magic corn.
He does bring a
The
briefcase
child
of magic.
does, not the adoptee.
Correct.
Yes, he brings a briefcase of magic corn, which can also turn into a briefcase full of cockroaches.
Yeah, it's magic and evil.
If the wrong person opens it, it looks like cockroaches. When he opens it, it looks like corn. It's super weird.
This is not very broad strokes.
So
He plants some magic corn.
He plants some magic corn in an empty lot by his adopted parents' house, which then turns into an unfathomably large cornfield.
Magic.
In Chicago.
In the middle of Chicago, between presumably 2 houses.
Hey guys, it's a city in the Midwest. They're much more spacious than us East Coast folk.
That's probably true.
It is.
Yeah, that's probably true. So that happens. Then he discovers that they actually went to that family because they thought that family grew corn. He thought that they were already at a cornfield.
Has he never heard of Chicago?
He apparently does not understand what Chicago is.
It's also, I think, because the guy is a commodities trader.
That's right. He
that's
sells
right.
corn. He's a trader of
Oh,
corn
yeah.
on the stock exchange or something along
On the
those lines.
Commodities market.
Yeah.
Whatever the corn version of the stock exchange is.
So he's like going to use his adoptive father to spread his evil corn throughout the world, which technically, I guess by the end, he's
does.
successful
Yes,
in
he
doing,
does
which is
do.
why there are 9 movies about this.
Yeah. It's kind of...
But he becomes a cult leader.
He does
Now,
become
we
a cult
watched this
leader.
movie a long time ago. Bob rewatched it That's why
Bless
he's
him.
leading this discussion. But how do we get from Suitcase of Magic Corn, Magical Cornfield to cult leader?
So what happens is the older brother starts making friends.
Getting
at
too
school,
normal.
Getting too normal, not wearing Amish clothes anymore, and at one point he plays basketball and is, of course, oddly talented at basketball with the urban youths that he goes to school with.
T-Lock.
T-Lock is the school badass.
Oh, sorry. I just
Yeah.
wanted to mention that there is a character that they took the time to name T-Lock, L-O-C. No K for him.
So that means that younger brother is then annoyed at older brother for making friends because he's not being Amish enough anymore, and older brother advises him, maybe you should make them friends, and he says, be careful, maybe I will, or something along those lines.
Sinister.
And he takes that to say that I should form a cult. And then he does. He
Also,
forms a cult.
They don't at all show you this forming. It just cuts to a shot of him with a bunch of people around him in like goth gear. And you're like,
Including Charlize.
oh, she's there.
The only person that you see convert into a cult member is T-Lock.
Oh.
T-Lock is the one example of a person that you see where he is opposed to the cult and then in the next scene is for the cult. And he gets convinced by a severed homeless person's head that bites him in the middle of a cornfield.
The homeless person got eaten by the evil corn because that is a thing that evil corn does.
Yeah, but actually he didn't really get eaten by it. He more got kind of skull fucked by tentacles.
Oh, yeah.
Which brings us to Charlize's fate at the end. You see her face.
Yep.
You see a tentacle. You see her spread legs.
Yeah,
and then you assume
kind of.
that tentacle disembodiment.
Yeah, no, you definitely see a tentacle go up her skirt.
So just think about how famous she is now, and that this is the best way that Hollywood could think to introduce her to all of us.
Frankly, I love this. To me, this is a true underdog story, and I have this problem when I watch like Law and Order or any of those crime shows, and they pull out the body. I think about how the body is a struggling actor in New York or LA, and this is like their big break.
See, when I watch movies and there's someone like an extra or like someone who gets like one line who's like, here's your paper, I always pessimistically say, that's their big moment, thinking that's the only thing that they will ever get. So I guess if you have the charisma and, I don't know.
Some of them will get Oscars.
I guess.
Okay?
This is true.
Charlize Theron is proof of that.
Yeah, she's proof that you can never start too low.
It's true.
So also when we were watching this happened, and like the first time we saw her face on screen, we all like screamed because we were like, finally, the reason why we're sitting through this horrible movie. And then when this happened, I think we also had to pause and be like, what?
It's true.
Also, what is amazing is that I think actually is a testament to Charlize's star power is we were all paranoid that we would miss Charlize, that the whole movie would happen.
You were right.
And we would never notice that she was in it. But Charlize is so like magnetically attractive that even appearing on screen for like a tenth of a second that she does, you immediately know that it's her. Like, she's immediately recognizable and like you're drawn to her face.
I do think that we were primed to look for her in a way that if she were not an Oscar-winning actress now, I don't think as an extra I'd be like, who's that girl?
No, I bet the entire audience, like in real time, watching Children of the Corn 3 for the first time with no knowledge of Charlize Theron was all like, that girl's gonna make it.
To be fair, I predict that this straight-to-video movie had a very narrow audience for
And
that to
every
happen.
single one of them knew.
Every single two of
To
them.
be fair, also, this is also the first screen appearance of Nicholas Brendan, who played Xander on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and we did not see him.
No, we learned this from Wikipedia moments ago.
Yes.
And much as I enjoy him, I'm like, I'm not watching this movie a second time to
Correct.
pick out his face.
Could not find
Although,
him.
I feel like we did notice him. I feel like we did have a moment of being like, that's that dude. This is unimportant.
Okay.
Anyway,
Hard to say.
so a thing that we would like to do for every movie, because I think it's hard to summarize a movie. You just listen to us struggle through it. There's a lot of things going on, but we think it would be helpful to, I don't even know how to say this, but basically summarize your feelings for this movie in a single noise so that you know immediately something about this movie.
Oh.
Yeah, that's pretty much.
You gotta do one too, Buff Shields.
I'm kind of in the same vein. I'm just like, oh.
My noise is gonna be. So there you have it. That is the summary of this
And you
movie.
guys watched it months ago. I just watched it.
Just thinking about it makes me a little bit sad. If I'm not focusing on the positive spin of getting tentacle raped can be the first role of an Oscar-winning actress.
Correct.
I just am sad that so many people worked on this and so much money was spent on it, and that we spent 2 hours of our lives watching it.
Yeah.
And more talking about it.
Hell yeah.
Oh, our other soon-to-be regular feature?
Oh, yeah. We're going to have some features, guys.
Okay.
Get
ready.
Soon-to-be regular feature is what role in this film should be played by Keanu Reeves? This feature posits that every movie should have Keanu Reeves in it, which I think we can all agree is true.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
So,
I don't even think we need to explain this that detailed because that's not how that phrase works. Please
That's
cut
right.
that out, too.
Nope.
So, what role should Keanu Reeves play in Children of the Corn 3 Urban Harvest? Bob Shields.
Well, I mean, I think the most obvious choice is the older brother because he's that kind of blank, oblivious, has no idea what's going on. His father gets turned into a scarecrow while he's feet away, and at the end of that event happening is like, all right, I don't know where he went. Let's get out of here. He just has nothing. Like, Keanu Reeves can pull that off very convincingly and has done to great aplomb.
It's true. I also think we should qualify that when we say Keanu Reeves would be cast in this, that we're allowing for any era Keanu Reeves that would be appropriate. So, older brother, we're not saying, a plus 50-year-old man would play that, but we
I
can
think
just...
it should be real-time
I
era
agree. I
Keanu
think it should be
Reeves.
95 Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
So in 95, he would be like
Speed.
So you mean real time?
Yeah.
Okay.
late
Okay.
20s Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I think that Keanu would be best cast as the role of the person who figures out that the evil younger brother is actually like an immortal, always a child evil dude. Because I think his shock and his need to tell someone would be really entertaining. Also, that character is killed by being lit on fire with the kid's mind.
Yep.
And although it may happen, I cannot, off the top of my head, think of a dramatic Keanu Reeves death. And I would definitely watch that.
I can only think of the Matrix Revolutions. That's the only
I try
one
not
can
to think about that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with another follower, another cult follower, and another tentacle rape victim because I feel like there should be more horrific objectification and sexual exploitation of men
That's
in
fair.
film. I don't really, but it would be really fun if we could be like, oh, and Keanu's there too.
Yeah. Also, for those of you who are already like, oh, but they already are in movies together, we will still recast him in those films as well. Don't
Oh,
worry.
yeah.
This is a
Yes.
regular event.
Who else should he play?
Or maybe we'll decide he should play exactly who he played. We
That's
cannot
right.
say.
He's cool.
So last but not least, we've decided that it's important for us to rank every single movie that she has been in. And we're going to do this in the order that we see them. So every episode we will tell you the current standing and each of us will have our own list. So I regret to say that currently, for all three of us, Children of the Corn 3 Urban Harvest is our number one Charlize Theron movie.
It's true.
For this episode only.
So please...
Presumably.
Yeah.
Unless 2 Days in the Valley is even worse.
It seems unlikely.
Which I can't believe it.
So we are going to talk about 2 Days in the Valley in our next episode, but we are not going to be going through her filmography in order. We're going to skip around as our needs fit. So join us next time for a look at her first real role in a movie.
And it'll be a little bit more in-depth from us. We won't just gloss right through the film, but you can understand why we did that for this.
Guys, spoilers. This movie ends with Korn being put on a boat. Very ominously.
In conclusion,
Yeah.
be careful what children you adopt and check them for corn. There you go. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Note, this is edited in. I had my South African friend, Andre Ballot, who grew up speaking Afrikaans just like Charlize Theron, pronounce her name properly for y'all.
So you don't have a Scottish simulacrum.
Right.
Wel, welkom by Charlie Stron.
Thank you so much for listening. Opening credits by our good friend Alex Reed.
And thank you to Andre Ballot. And
Thank you, Charlize.
And now you've heard the Theronathon. Every word of the Theronathon. It just occurred, the Theronathon. I hope your heart was stirred by the Theronathon. spurred by the